At the beginning of my career, I met a man that I came to idolize. This man was a lawyer, but he talked like a doctor. He taught me the importance of learning the medicine in a medical negligence case. For that, I will be forever grateful. But I also learned a painful lesson from this man. See, my mentor had come to lose a really big medical negligence case, and he let it linger. It haunted him, and it frightened him from going back into a courtroom. I saw the offers on his cases decline. The defense were convinced that he wouldn't try the case. Fear is a powerful emotion. None of us are immune. The question is not whether fear will confront us. It will, every day. The question is how we will deal with our fear. Some people let fear be a headwind that's always constantly in their face and holding them back. Other people are able to take fear and put it behind them and use it as a tailwind and let it push them forward. One of the most famous music producers of our time is a man named Jimmy Iovine. He worked with artists like Bruce Springsteen, John Lennon, Stevie Nicks, all the way through Eminem and Dr. Dre. He started Interscope Records. He started Beats by Dr. Dre, which he sold for $4 billion to Apple. One of his fundamental tenets is the idea of using fear to motivate yourself. I'll let him tell you better than I can.
But what I have learned is some of these powerful insecurities can be harnessed to life's greatest motivator, the greatest 5-hour energy drink ever. It's called a little old-fashioned fear. I know about fear. I was once fired from 2 jobs within 90 days. I felt as if the sidewalk was collapsing behind me. But that insecure feeling always kept moving me forward. Rather than stop me in my tracks like a headwind, I began to learn how to make those same insecurities the tailwinds to propel me forward.
Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is the capacity to act even when we're scared to death. And in my world, there's over 250,000 people a year that die in our hospitals from medical negligence, and countless more are injured or maimed for the rest of their lives. But only a small percentage, about 20% of the people that have legitimate claims, ever pursue those claims and ever bring those claims. So bravery is the exception. It's not the rule. My ability to put fear at my back and let it push me forward comes from the brave men and women that I've met over the 25 plus years I've been a lawyer. I have met people who are scared to death every single day, and yet they're able to put that fear behind them and let it push them forward. And I've seen them make countless change and make things better for the rest of us every single day in all of the cases and all of the things that have happened to them. Let me put you into the shoes of one of my clients. Imagine walking into a room with 2 or 3 or 4 lawyers that you've never met. They have countless resources to investigate you. They've been to your Facebook, they've been to your Twitter, they've been to your Instagram, they've been everywhere that you are. They know everything about you. You feel guilty because of what happened to your loved one. You feel like you should have done more, and they press on that like an open sore. Then, after you give your sworn deposition, you have to go into a courtroom and you have to face a judge and a jury of 8 men and women that you've never met. and you're worried that they're going to be judging you for bringing a case, for bringing a lawsuit. That's what my clients deal with. For my clients to have that kind of courage, I better never let fear stand in my way. I've got to be able to put my foot on a defendant's neck and keep it there until they give up. I remember being in the foothills of Appalachia with a client who was suing a doctor for her husband who was 53 years old and had died of oral cancer. When we brought the case and we asked for the medical records, they mysteriously disappeared. So we were just getting ready for trial. We were at a pre-trial. We were sitting around a table. And the judge and the doctor's lawyer and the doctor and the doctor's insurance company representative were all sitting there across from her, and they were pushing her to take a small amount that had been offered to her in settlement. And I remember the woman looking right at the lawyer and saying, "Look, I've been poor my whole life. If I lose this case, I'll be poor again. I know how to be poor. The guy that you ought to be worried about is your client, the doctor, because he's never been poor a day in his life. And if he loses this case, he's going to have to learn how to be poor because nobody in this county will ever go to him again." And we won that case. The jury awarded a couple $1 million verdict, and that doctor got run out of town. My client made things better for her community. It was amazing. In another case, there was a surgeon who had a really high complication rate with his gallbladder surgeries. And client after client had been suing him, and he had been settling those cases before they ever got to court. Believe it or not, if we're trying a lawsuit, we're not allowed to tell you as a juror all of the other times that a doctor's been sued. So anyway, my client wouldn't take the settlement. He believed he wanted his community to know what this doctor had been doing, and he wanted to stop it from happening to other people. So he wouldn't settle the case. He wanted his day in court. Then, just before trial, the medical board finally acted, and they took away the doctor's license. They suspended his license. And after the doctor's license got suspended, the client was then able to settle the case and move on. He told me that once the medical board acted, he didn't need for everybody to know what happened because he had done what he came there to do, and that is stop this doctor from hurting other people. So he was able to move on, and he told me that's exactly what his wife would have wanted. She wouldn't have wanted the money. She would have wanted to make sure that other people wouldn't get hurt. My clients have taught me that we don't have to let fear control us. As a lawyer, the weight of my clients' problems, the weight of their cases, it weighs heavy on my shoulders. As a father, I worry about my children. As a husband, I worry about my wife. As a child, I worry about my parents. As a person, I see things that happen in our world that shake me to my very core. Fear gives us every opportunity, every day, to let it take control. I'm sure that you know someone like the lawyer that I described at the beginning of this video, someone that's gotten gun shy. I'm also sure that you know people like I know who act like they have no fear. They're not afraid of anything. They're tough. They mean business. My experience with these people is those are the people that are usually scared all the time. How do you handle fear? Is it a headwind? Does it hold you back? Or is it a tailwind? If it's a headwind, the good news is we all have the power to change that mentality. We all have the power to change. How do we change that? By talking about our fears. We will never, ever, ever eradicate fear from our lives. It's going to be present every single day. But by talking about our fears, it's like shining a light on a room full of cockroaches. The fear runs to the floorboards. It runs behind us. But it takes courage to be vulnerable enough to admit our fears. But by doing that and by talking about it, we can keep fear behind us. We can keep letting it push us forward, and we can really make things better. I'm making these videos to share my journey and to show how our why helps shape everything in our lives, whether we want it to or not. If you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing, liking, or commenting on the video below. I'll be making these and putting these out on a regular basis. You can find them here on this channel, or you can find a link to them on our website at kcinjury.com. Thanks for watching. Be well.